Hi everyone, my name is Dado. I hope that I can still inspire you a bit on the topic of AI because I think you probably by today you've seen a lot and you tried a lot yourself. So I hope there's at least one thing that can bring you some inspiration. I grew up in the 80s with the Game Boy. I think a lot of you are younger than me, but I spent a lot of time on Mario Bros. And Tetris back in the days, playing in 8-bit and 16-bit. Then a bit later came the first internet modem into my life. I don't know if you still remember that sound. You're from my generation. That's it. Wow. Nostalgia. You had to pay per minute that you were online. If you had to do a phone call, it was on the same line. So this is what ignited my passion for everything digital and technology. And that's also what I do today in my current job. We're in the process of writing a book on what we call the virtual economy, where different technologies collide. There are many elements that you know, the rise of these virtual worlds, 3D, and then obviously the topic of AI, which today is a bit everywhere. If you open a magazine or a newspaper, you see AI, 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 or ai, as some people think. Also the Italians, when they pulled the plug of ChatGPT. I don't know if you follow that. Now, if you look at the IQ levels of these platforms today, they're considered to be already at 150, which is genius level. So Einstein had an IQ of 160. Smartest people on the planet have an IQ of 200. So 150 is already mind-blowing. And at the same time, sometimes it's underwhelming. So if I use these platforms, I'm sometimes amazed, and sometimes you ask for a small calculation, and it's completely wrong. So it balances between two extremes. What is sure is that the IQ levels will probably go tenfold in the coming years. Projections talk about 3 years, 5 years. So yeah, we can imagine what the impact will be on the workforce and also how this will accelerate society. If I then look at companies, so we work for a lot of corporate organizations, then the questions that we mostly get is how can we work smarter, faster, how can we work cheaper, especially in the economic situation with inflation and the cost of labor. And then also what can we do richer, how can we create more alternatives, how can we infuse our content with more creativity. And so these are the three, I would say, battlefields where AI can make a difference. And that's, I think, where everybody is focusing now. Now, OpenAI and ChatGPT are obviously catching most of the limelight. I was also impressed with what you guys are doing. But if you look then at the big tech companies, yeah, obviously OpenAI with GPT-4 is leading the front. But there are a few others that you might know and already used. First one in the list is Google, and then the pointer is there, so I'm going to stand here. Google with Palm, where Bard is the user interface. Whom of you has used Bard before? Okay, if you haven't, it's definitely interesting to combine both. So I try to use ChatGPT next to Bard to see where they are different. Some of the outputs in ChatGPT are better compared to Bard and vice versa. It really depends on the use case. But Google is definitely moving in the field. The third one is Meta, where everybody thinks that Zuckerberg overplayed his hand with the metaverse. But Meta is investing a lot, and they have an open source language model called Llama, which is very interesting compared to these closed models. Can you guess number 4 and 5? The fourth one is, I would say, a little bit recent news. Amazon has invested in Anthropic, $4 billion, because obviously they saw, whoa, we are getting a bit behind because these three other giants. And so they have a deal with Anthropic, and the language model there is Claude, which you can also try out. So I try to mix these four. And then typically people ask, what are the Chinese doing? And so the Chinese have something in the Tsinghua University, which is called ChatGLM, probably a bit more oriented to what the government there wants to develop. Don't have to explain that. So it's a bit of a different language model. There was a question on the job market, and I think you probably have seen this quote before. And I really believe in that. Humans will not be replaced by AI. Humans will be replaced by other humans using AI. And for me, it's not just content or marketing, it's every division of a company, whether it's HR, legal, finance, innovation, development, all the different steps. Now, if you look to a SaaS business, I think you can transpose the quote exactly like that. SaaS businesses will not be replaced by AI, but they will be replaced by other SaaS businesses leveraging AI in a faster, better, cheaper, and richer way. And that's for me very clear. So I think whatever you can do to ramp up your tests and experiments with AI, I think that's what we need to do. Concretely, Gen AI, I think you're all aware it can create text and code, images. There was Midjourney, but now there's DALL-E 3, Stable Diffusion. Firefly was discussed before. Audio, meaning voices for commercials, for training, but also customer service calls. Video and 3D, it's getting very close to amazing results. For the nerds, I don't know if you're following Gaussian splatting, the new technology for 3D rendering. It's mind-blowing. And then acting as a second brain, which is how I use AI today a lot, to kind of give you inspiration or ideas, challenges on what you're trying to come up with. For example, I'm sometimes an amateur DJ at a very small event, and then people say, yeah, I like jazz music, I like some rap and hip hop and maybe some 80s. Now if you use these platforms and you say I have 1 hour to play or 2 hours, make me a list of these 3 genres with 10 songs per genre. Can you compile something that builds up nicely for the crowd? It's amazing how much comes out. So a second brain is something that I try to deploy the most. ChatGPT takes it to the next level now. I don't know if you've seen the vision that they are applying. Have you seen the video of the bike? No? I'm going to show it to you, and then you will see how this will impact training and onboarding at an unseen scale. So you will see somebody who takes a picture of a bike and asks it to lower the seat, and then how it helps you to make that happen. I'm going to move on for the sake of the time, but you understand, again, for engineering, for training, how much this can speed up the process. This is an example where you can upload a picture now to ChatGPT with the latest version. Not everybody has it because they're rolling it out gradually. You can upload a picture, and then it will give you the information on what it sees. Or you can ask a question like, where's the error in this graph? How should I update it, and so forth. For healthcare, you will be able to upload a Röntgen photo and ask it what it sees and so forth. So this will propel healthcare into a completely new dimension. But also for kids that want to study, that want to learn about a certain topic, we are getting into a new dimension. Now, concretely, what can you do from a SaaS business perspective? I think the first battlefield is helping you to create content. And I have some short screen grabs. For example, in ChatGPT, you can create a blog post or a LinkedIn post, but you can also ask it to come up with a calendar in a table view with a certain frequency, outlining per channel what you can do and so forth. And then obviously you can start to ask to write out a script for this video, for example, or outline the blog post or LinkedIn post for this item, and you name it. So this is the first thing. Second thing, the plugins. There is a plugin, for example, in ChatGPT where you can ask it to summarize a YouTube video. So if you're looking for content, you find a video online, you ask it to summarize it in 10 bullet points, translate it into another language, and you have directly unique content based on something that exists. So the plugin's definitely worthwhile to check. Also, if you create your content, you can use different styles. So you will see that ChatGPT, as you probably have seen before, is also talking in some shallow words in many cases. Let's call it some bullshit sentences in many times. So if you apply the right styles and you combine it with your own branding elements, you get something that is much better in quality. Second example, so I'm again in the interface for Assa Abloy, accompanying automatic sliding doors. We created some examples of taglines that it could use in marketing. And for example, here, the second one, slide into the future, your gateway to seamless transitions, is one that we used further to translate that into a voice. Before that, we also asked it to come up with 10 more variants in Arabic. The only thing is it still writes from left to right, so it should do it the reverse to be very correct. I can't understand Arabic. I don't know if they're correct, but I'm pretty sure they're okay. So then I went to 11 Labs. So I used the output from ChatGPT, the tagline. You select one of the 300 voices that are in the platform in all languages, male, female, younger, older, and then listen to the output.
Slide into the future, your gateway to seamless transitions.
Sounds very on point. So you have that in all different languages and different characters. And we're very close to the voice cloning, where you will be able to translate your own voice and then couple it with that. So this means that we can create content on the fly in a very professional language that speaks at a certain tone by using and combining these tools. So text, tagline, creating a voice, but you can also now create a website. We have, for our business, a small office in Dubai, and we did an experiment to create a website with a platform called Durable. I don't know if you ever heard about it. No? Where I typed in the location. We said that we're in the business of gardening, and then it asks to come up with a name of the business, and we doubted a bit, Dubai Gardens, Dubai Greens, so we're a bit trying out. Obviously, you can generate a name, as you know, with all these platforms. You click enter, and then it starts to generate the different sections of your website, right? So, and the funny thing is, it also generates a testimonial, and those were always fake, right? So that's nothing new. It takes a bit of time now sitting here and just watching this video, but if you create a website, you have a bit of time to spare. So it's coming up, and then you will see that the results with 3 prompts. So where is it, what's the business, and what's the name? That's what it turns out is quite spectacular. So there is a tagline, there is a sub-tagline, which I can regenerate. There are images, there is the services that are outlined, and you will see the services are quite on point. Landscaping design, tree removal, there is my quote, and so forth. So I think this is an enormous accelerator on how we can build landing pages or ideas for our websites. Because you might argue, yeah, you're not going to copy-paste such a website directly. Of course not. If it's for your local hobby entertainment, you can. But if it's for your company, you probably need to tweak a lot. But this gives you a plethora of ideas of stuff that you normally need to come up with yourself. So that's the content part, where you have text, the calendar, video creation, voice, and then also the website. In the onboarding, I did an experiment for a SaaS business specialized in AI-generated dashboards. And then you ask it to come up with a script for an avatar that would explain that product. So you see that the text comes out, and it defines per step what the avatar should say, what the music should be, and so forth. And then I went to a platform called DID. I don't know if you ever used that one, where you can select an avatar. So you make your script to the tool, then you insert the script into DID, and then it creates something which looks quite okay. But if you look at it from a large perspective, it's still a bit too much latency. It's not perfect yet, but you see, give this a few more months, how good it will be. So this is the avatar that I selected. You will see it's still a bit robotic, but the way it speaks, based on my transcript, you see in a few months where this will end up.
Welcome. I'm ADA, your AI dashboard assistant, and I'm here to guide you through the magical world of intuitive data insights with Data Harmony. In just a minute, discover how we transform your data into actionable insights. With our state-of-the-art AI,
I'm going to move on. You get the point. If you see this in a smaller version, on top of a dashboard, for example, it looks way more professional than you would tape it yourself with your Flemish voice or wherever you come from. So it's definitely already an acceleration. And again, give it a few more months. These things will, I would say, shorten the latency, and it will look even better than it's already looking today. For customer service, I can recommend you to try out Chatbase. And Chatbase is a platform where you can basically create customized chatbots on the data that you provide it with. That data can be a URL. So here is a demo of Product Hunt, where you upload the website. It will then crawl all that information. You can give some initial context on how the bot is called, what the logo is, what the color is of the bot. And then it will generate an embeddable code that you can use on your own website, and you immediately have some kind of chatbot based on your proprietary data. I think this is also quite spectacular. It shows how easy it becomes to create something that is tailored to one specific use case. By the way, this is also what Meta is doing. I don't know if you have followed, but they're creating these niche chatbots that have a specific expertise, like a sports expert. There's Snoop Dogg, the Dungeon Master. And so they're creating like Warren Buffett on finance. And I think that's also what we can build by infusing data that we have into such a chatbot that is then giving niche answers based on your data. Also, a small tip is the AI writer. So within Google, for example, you have an email that is coming in. This is a newsletter. You ask to formulate a reply. Then you can select the tone of your reply, the language with which it needs to answer. And then again, if you look at the result that comes out, it's quite spectacular. Your emails should be way better by now than the ones that you send alone. So you see you get immediately a draft of the email. By the way, I still use ChatGPT a lot to answer to emails, to formulate at least a kind of base reply. So it spares you an enormous amount of time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Translations. So here you have the website of Lusmo. Obviously, it's very simple today with ChatGPT or any other of these chat platforms where you just copy a text and you can immediately translate it into any language. So you immediately get the translated text, which speeds up the process by 90%. And also the cost of you having to translate normally all these things obviously goes down a lot. Maybe just a check needs to be done to make sure that the French or the Polish is correct, but the base work is done. Now, one of the most spectacular things that I've seen, and maybe you have seen it passing by on social media as well, is HeyGen. Whom of you is familiar with HeyGen? Okay, that's 10 people maybe, 10 people. So this is my colleague Samuel, who taped a video in Dutch for our colleague Muskan in Dubai, who is an Indian girl. She's leaving to finish her studies, and he sent her a video in Dutch, but then he let it translate to HeyGen. I will show you in a minute, but this is the Flemish video, just for reference.
Hey Muskan, ik wens u superveel succes toe in uw nieuwe avontuur. Je gaat dat supergoed doen.
Just to hear his voice and the starting point. So then, with HeyGen, if you select a language, first one could be French.
Hey Muskan, je te souhaite beaucoup de succès dans ta nouvelle entreprise. Bonne chance. Tu vas réussir à l'école de commerce.
The scary part is the lip syncing is done based on the language, and it's his voice, so it's not dubbed like the French used to do with all the movies. It's actually his own voice. And then for Muskan, who is an Indian girl, the next video is in Hindi, which is very
Hey
scary.
मुस्कान, मैं आपके नए साहस में बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ। आप व्यापार स्कूल में बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन करेंगे।
It's extremely
आपकी
scary, no?
GMAT परीक्षा भी बेशक
Also for synthetic content, by the way, I think we have not seen anything yet. So that will be interesting with the next elections, how that will work. I think we're already confused, by the way, what is happening now. I think it's already very cluttered, what is real, what is not. You start to feel that it becomes impossible to know who is sending what information, how is this made, and so forth. I think it's already happening way more than we think. You can try it out yourself. So at HeyGen, you have, I think, 1 or 2 credits to try with a video. Then obviously you have to pay because these guys also want to make some money. But it's extremely spectacular how good it works. That means that if you're trying to onboard people in other countries with your SaaS business, customers, you can speak in their own language with your voice and the lips are synced very well. Product development, from the start of analyzing trends up till the distribution, you can stitch together all these tools. So we use all these tools kind of in a combination set throughout the full journey. And I just want to show you an example. This is a trend analysis that we did for a luxury business in handbags. So the prompt was, I'm the CEO of a luxury accessories company looking to innovate. What are the trends and what should be aware of in our industry? And so then it will start to list the trends in the industry, which, by the way, we checked it with some luxury businesses, are very on point. But then you can go one step further and say, I want you to make those trends data-driven. So can you give us information on how real this is? What's the addressable market size? What should we foresee here? So I'm not going to run the full video here. Then we went a step further and we asked, okay, imagine out of those trends, we take the sustainable leather handbags, a subcategory within the sustainable luxury. We make it modular handbags, and then we say, what's the compounded annual growth rate? What's the total addressable market size? And then you will see how it starts to list it. So if you need to make an investor deck or you need to address another niche within your business, you can really scope it in a way that we could never do it before. I used to work in market research. That's where I started my career. Yeah, it's amazing how much you can get out of these tools today. Information that was, I would say, only available through the McKinseys of this world and other big groups that were sitting on data, or consumer trends, where you had to speak to consumers or customers. Now you can, with the right prompts, derive it from these systems. Yes. Yeah. Is that still something that you see a lot, or is it going down? Still happening a lot. Yeah. You want to be sure that it's actually true. Yeah. It's still happening a lot. I would say they call it the AI hallucinations. There were actually 2 lawyers in the US that got fined for citing cases in the court that did not exist. So they used ChatGPT, came up with cases, and it turned out to be false cases that were made up. So it still happens. Yeah. So hallucinations. Yeah. This is an example then. If you have your trends research and you have your market data, then obviously you need to use it to convince somebody, either your colleagues internally, your investors, or maybe your customers. So I used a platform called Dectopus, which is a platform to create PowerPoints, or Gamma, which is similar. So you ask, you give the prompts, you tell them for whom it is, then you select some kind of template that you want to use, and then you will see that it starts to render the slides with your story. For all of you making slides, sometimes this is a lifesaver. It downloads in PPT, so it's not just PDF, it downloads in PowerPoint. And you will see that it also infuses the images that you need into the deck, even with a tagline. So again, this is for my luxury business. Style with a conscience. You see then the fashion industry, degradation of the environment, the eco-sheet leatherworks with more information, our market size, competitors that are listed automatically in a table, And so the story builds in a deck that I don't think is copy-pastable, but that is usable for 70%. All the rest you need to tweak, but it's making your life easier to accelerate whatever you want to bring across. Meet the team, all these things, then you can update. Then, of course, in the development of your product, I think it was mentioned before, creating code, debugging code. GitHub is the go-to platform. They say that today, coders work already 55% more efficient. And I just saw on Twitter this week, they do 100 million in ARR. I don't know if you've seen that. So it's a huge, huge business. And there's just a small video, if you haven't seen what GitHub Pilot does, to give you a flavor. Move on for the sake of time, but you get the point. I think everybody who's coding, I'm also involved in a few SaaS businesses, and I also hear from my colleagues there that the speed with which they can develop and debug is much higher. Does it do everything? No. Sometimes people say, there are still things that we need to double check. Yeah, obviously, but your workload is diminishing by using these things. And in a startup, whatever you do, the battle is time. Are you faster than your competitor? And I think these things help you to do work in a faster way. For marketing, I come back to my luxury business. You can work further on the prompting that you have done based on the outputs and the data that you've seen, and then you can ask it to completely write out a marketing strategy which details the user value proposition, the persona that you need to target, and all the details that a marketing strategy normally contains. So it goes very much in depth. And again, here, obviously, you need to tweak, but the results that you get are helping your workload in an enormous way. Now, Canva, I think last week, announced the Magic Studio. And this is one of the things that I've been most impressed with, next to all the other things that have happened, in what they call multimodal AI. So normal AI is ChatGPT does text, GitHub does code, Midjourney does images, Runway does video, Dectopus makes slides. But Canva is one of the first platforms, together with OpenAI, to bring everything under one suite. So you can make a job description and the visual together. You can make the video and the script of it. And the video that they show is almost 100% realistic because we have been using it and testing it, and it's very, very impressive. So I'm just going to run the video so that you have a flavor of it. Again, I'm going to move on, but you see, this is, and this is a few months ago. ChatGPT was launched in November 2022. We had to combine ChatGPT with Midjourney, and then the nerds in this room will have seen all these tools, and then you need to be smart to make sure where you can add what, but you see it's happening now. I think the change that is coming is that we needed to find the tools, now they're going to find us. Microsoft is integrating everything into Copilot, Canva is integrating everything here, Salesforce is doing the same, so it's coming into big shells, and that's, I think, where the future is. In the underlying dimension, they all do API calls to the big platforms, but they foresee the interface, which is easy for people, because let's face it, for the people who ever use DOS with /dir, I don't know if you remember, this is what ChatGPT feels like for me. It's a very boring interface. So I think this is where the massive onboarding will probably happen. For our luxury handbag section, we created with Canva and then also with some other platforms, Maison Mireille, which is the brand name. These are the modular handbags, and then you can see with Canva how fast you can start to create your promotional material. So with half-day work, we spent literally 4 hours. We started with a category, the compounded annual growth rate, addressable markets. We took the modular handbags. We created with Midjourney the images, Canva for the promotional part, with Durable the website, and you can launch, boof. And for entrepreneurs, this is like mind-blowing, right? In 4 hours time. Imagine you spend 4 days, how much you can create and how much you can iterate in A/B testing with completely new products. So fascinating. I think it's extremely exciting. Data analytics, number 7. For the people that have ChatGPT Plus, you can now use advanced data analytics. And some simple things that you can do, for example, is you can now upload the annual report of NVIDIA, and you can ask, are there any significant changes in the business model compared to last year? You did not invest in the shares? You were too late? Okay, I know the feeling. I was not there too. So you see that all the output starts to come out. It starts to list what are the main takeaways from the annual report, which is something you could not do today. There is Perplexity where you can upload a PDF, but it was not integrated into ChatGPT. Now it is, and it extracts the data. Then I asked the question, what's the cost structure like? Are costs rising faster than revenues? And then it starts to think a little bit. So it says, yeah, we need to locate the right statements in the report. So it takes a bit of time, but then it starts to come up. So you see it plugs here with some of the plugins. And then, for the sake of our time, this takes a long time, but if you want to have insights, again, you have a few seconds or minutes to spare. And then it starts to come up with the data points. So the revenue, and then it continues with all the other KPIs. So it's, again, spectacular for people that need to do analysis, also from your competitors, for example, if you want to extract data. So you see how it's coming out. Now, it even goes further, and this is a next step in my process. So it asked me here, do you want to continue and set up a formula for a calculation? I said yes, and then it starts to create formulas to come up with the exact information that I'm looking for. And then at the end, you will see that it even extracts to an Excel file, which I can download. So it's not anymore just the plain table that you see here, which is not always easy to use. So it extracts the Excel file, I can download it, and then I have the kind of extractions of the data that I was looking for. So this will, again, help us to give much more information, in-depth analysis on data and so forth. So you see, if you think ChatGPT is simple, it's expanding at a massive scale. The others are doing the same thing. So we're in AI kindergarten for me, 9 months, 11 months ago. And then repetitive tasks. If you do meetings today, and you're using Google Meet, for example, or Zoom, Fireflies is a great tool. So you can add the AI note taker to your meeting. So you can invite the AI person here to your meeting. You add the URL, and then automatically it will be there. It's a bit strange, I have to say. It's always like a third person is in the room. So it feels a bit, wow. But it works very well. So if you then go back to the outputs, It creates a transcript which is unusable. Let me tell you up front, nobody rereads it. But what you can do is you can go to ChatGPT, you can paste the entire transcript there, and then if you ask in the prompt, what are the next steps out of this full transcript, and what are the specific to-dos for, in this case, Samuel, which we have seen before, and Amin, the two people working on a project for us in Dubai for Adidas, then you see this is the exact prompt, right? Here is the transcript, so you paste it, and then just give it a few seconds. You will see how good it makes the summary and how correct it is in the next steps for those two people in the meeting. You see? It's also funny, something about cycling, I think, even. Here, the Tour de France. It's funny, right? Samuel is a fan of the Tour de France. And so you see, here, next step for Samuel, poof. And it's so well done. It's you cannot imagine. So before I grew up and my career started 15 years ago. I started in market research. I was a note taker in meetings. I was there saying nothing in meetings and just noting down what everybody was saying. And if you see this, again, it's going to make our lives so much better. Because now in a SaaS business, corporates have assistants to take notes. In a SaaS business, that's probably not where you're spending your money. So this can help you to make sure that information is not getting lost. So simple tool to use, and then you see again in the combination with ChatGPT how good it can work. So content creation, second one, onboarding, where you saw the DID, the transcript that I made for the video. Customer service with Chatbase. Translations, both the real translations with HeyGen, but also just with ChatGPT or any other tool. Product development with GitHub, very spectacular. Marketing campaigns, Canva with the Magic Studio. Data analysis with the new plugin in ChatGPT, and then Fireflies as just an example, because there are many more. So I hope that out of this list of 8, there's at least one that you can start to try out, because there's a saying, what you guys are doing is, I think it's mind-blowing, it's next level. What I'm showing is simple, right? But there's a nice quote that says, the simplest things are also the simplest things not to do. Simplest things to do are the simplest thing not to do. And I see that with ChatGPT that a lot of people got excited, but now don't do it anymore. So I can only enthusiasm you, I don't know, whatever, sharing enthusiasm to make you do and use these platforms more often than you do today. Because whatever you're doing in your tasks, I think everybody in what role that you have can benefit from these 8 steps or from the tools that I've shown, and to use them more. And again, the list is endless. It will make our lives easier, and it will make our lives faster. And this is a great example, the Rubik's Cube. Have you ever tried to solve the Rubik's Cube? Did you ever manage to do so? Yeah, I never managed. It was so frustrating. At the end, there were always some colors that were left behind. This video is spectacular because a few weeks ago, there was a world champion that did it in 3.8 seconds. You can find it on YouTube. So they give the guy the block. He solves it in a split second. It's amazing to see. And then I saw this video.
Solving in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. Which is exactly 10 times faster than the world champion. So if we're not naive, it's very clear, coming back to the quote that we all know, humans will not be replaced by AI, but humans will be replaced by other humans using AI. And I think this is where it can help us to make sure that we work faster, maybe cheaper, and richer, yes, because I think, yes, we are creative as people, but these platforms also show a lot of creativity. Yes, we have emotions as people, but these platforms also can show emotion. And that's, by the way, interesting, because some people say, yeah, but we humans, that's our unique added value, that we are still showing empathy. There was a study in the US where they benchmarked doctors compared with AI in their empathy towards patients, and in 78% of the cases, the AI platform showed more empathy towards the patient than the doctor, because they have to work fast. They also work on a price, of course. They're becoming hard in their job. They have to bring bad news all the time. So we think that's our unique added value, creativity and empathy, and I'm not sure. I think what is happening here, that's where the value is, in building relationships, partnerships, communities, networks. That's what we are as humans do better than machines. Now, to summarize, I think we're on a bit of a roller coaster. Many people here in the room are maybe like this guy, very enthusiastic about technology, but you also have some people who are scared, also some people that basically don't care. For them, it's like, well, I don't care. They also don't find it spectacular. You can show them anything as up. And then you have people who are a bit mixed in emotion, and I think your teams and your customers are probably more or less the same as all these people in this roller coaster. And I think as a company, you need to make sure that everybody is getting on board and believes in the potential. Because we're only getting started, again, 11 months in the game. OpenAI was founded in 2015, but AI was under the radar, invisible. It was already in Netflix, it was already in Amazon, but we did not care. DeepMind from Google was already existing for a long time and so forth, but November 2022 made it suddenly from under the radar above the radar. And that's where we are now. So AI already exists for a long time, but now everybody is awake. It's about complementing, not substituting. So it should help us not destroy our jobs. And I am pretty confident in the foreseeable future, if we train ourselves, this will happen. People, process, and platform. So what does it mean for your talents? How can you infuse it in your own process? And then what platforms do you need to choose? Because there's so many today, and I think you need to be considerate in which are the ones that are relevant to your specific business. I think you need to immerse yourself further, practice and experiment as much as you can tonight. Keep a finger on the pulse. And then from your company perspective, I think you need to meet with as many of the AI players in the Belgian ecosystem or abroad. Think about that people process platform plan. Training for people, because yes, they've seen ChatGPT, but no, they don't always know how to use it well. Policies and guidelines, concrete business cases. What are the top 3 business cases for your SaaS business where you can deploy AI in the best possible way? I think somebody needs to take the lead. And then a hackathon to, I would say in a 1-day, 2-day overnight process, do as much as you can. There are 2 platforms that you can follow. There is an aiforthat.com and then futuretools.io to type in keywords and you find many of the smaller platforms. And then all hope is not lost. I don't know if you know that case where they asked the computer to look at pictures of dogs. You know that case? And they try to confuse the computer with muffins. No? So it's at 80% correctness now. So it's still, the gap is closing. I think probably in a year or so it will be 100% correct in detecting everything right. But we still have a bit of time. Also in the prompting, you might have seen this one. No? So the computer, as I said in the beginning, still makes a lot of stupid mistakes. Some of the things are extremely mind-blowing, whereas other things are very disappointing. And I think it will go both ways in the coming months, but a lot of the things that are underwhelming will get better very soon. And so I think we need to keep a finger on the pulse. Also this in Texas 2 weeks ago, have you seen that movie? Where robo-taxis got into a traffic jam. So all driverless taxis, and there was somehow a bug in the code, and they got stuck into the middle of Texas in the city. And there was nobody to blame, right? So you cannot say move on. So I don't know how they solved it. Probably they had to call the IT department.
Are you telling me they have no way to get out of
a reboot. And the last thing that I want to say is, I believe that we will talk to these bots at scale, not just for our SaaS business, but also for companionship, for therapy, for many personal things. There are already studies that show that a lot of people use ChatGPT to ask it personal questions, like I don't feel well, this is what I'm encountering, how should I react? I don't think that's a proper use case today because a lot of these things obviously are not made for giving therapy, but not everyone wants to pay 75 euros per hour for a therapist. Not everybody has the guts to go to one. So I think we underestimate how much that will happen. Also in places like McDonald's, they're already experimenting in the drive-thru, where now you have somebody behind the cashier with a headset taking your order and at the same time giving an order to somebody else, which is an extremely hard and stressful job. They're experimenting with an AI in that poll that will answer and take your order and so forth, so taking away that role with the headset. And I see it in how polite we are to those systems. So if I talk to ChatGPT, I'm always kind of forced to say thank you or could you please. It's very strange psychologically that you think you're talking to a human being. I don't know if you remember the Tamagotchi, yes, and Farmville. So we fed digital animals before. I'm not talking about youngsters, but grown-ups that spent time in Farmville and had a Tamagotchi when they were already adults. So this fuels my conviction that we underestimate today how much we will use it. And there is a positive use case for elderly people who have no companionship, who are lonely today in their homes. I think AI could do tremendous work. And then some people will say, yeah, but it's not a human being. Yes, but now they're alone and they don't see their family at all or have no friends. So these systems will fill a part of that gap. So to end with, it's clearly another industrial revolution. Some people say it's like the fire invention, where it's great because it will push humanity forwards, but can we keep it under control? I heard somebody say we created Jurassic Park, but we are not thinking about the electronic fences. I think in reality that we need to train ourselves. That's the only thing that we can do. So I always say, what are you going to do in the next 90 days? And my advice for you would be, between now and let's say January, is to spend at least 50 hours of your time in these platforms. Because you're in SaaS businesses, you work with technology, and the only thing I think that you can do is to dive into it, go into the rabbit hole, and try to use these platforms as much as you can. Because again, humans with AI compared to humans alone, that's where the battlefield will be, in whatever role that you are. Thank you very much. I hope it brought a bit of inspiration, and I'm happy to connect. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my hair was shorter then, so if you then say it doesn't look like you, I know my hair was shorter. Yeah.
Thanks for the great presentation. If there are still one or two questions from the audience, we can still take them, of course. Yeah.
I'm interested in the email part.
Sorry?
In the email part.
Yeah.
Which tool do you use to help you with your emails?
There was a AI, I don't know how the plugin is called, but it was the slide before I showed how it replies. Another one is Monica, which is working very well. Also a plugin into Google, and it just connects immediately into your Gmail, and then you will see the icon. So every time you open the icon, it already comes up with a certain reply that you can use.
So I guess we Microsoft users need to wait for Copilot.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
And it's coming fast, as you have seen with Windows. They're integrating it, so I think it's a matter of probably weeks, at most months before it's there. But I use Monica, and then the other one, I forgot the name of the plugin. It's AI Email Writer, I think it's called. But it's in my slides, and I will share them if you want to check it out.
These AI systems are trained on text, on video, everything kind of a lot of publicly available, but there might be kind of a big shift that it will be trained just on people wearing cameras and just recording, and then, I mean, you train it on day to day, what happens there? What's your take on that, kind of from a future perspective? Where are we with that? And
it's a good question. I think if you see the Ray-Ban partnership with Meta, it's coming. So they already have in the ears of the glasses the Meta AI companion. So you will look at something, you will be able to ask a question. Then there was the pin that was released, the AI pin. Not sure if it will work, but that's another one. There is a necklace that was released that will tape everything that you say during the day to help you build a memory of your life. So I think what is for me happening is AI is, yeah, it's scary, right? Also exciting, let's be real. It's exciting, but it will tape everything that you say to build up a history. And I think, again, if you think about the smartphone, we used to say, and not so long ago, I think 15 years ago, do you remember the Nokia 3310 with Snake? Game Boy, Rubik's Cube, and Snake, that was most of my childhood time. But back then, a lot of people argued that they would not buy a smartphone because it would hurt their privacy, they don't want to be reached by their boss, and today we all have a smartphone. I think now we think the next step, I'm not gonna do that necklace and so forth. But the moment there is a use case where it says, we're going to tape your life so that your kids can see how you were doing during your life, and they can ask all the questions that they want if you pass away and so forth, and it becomes a strong use case, I'm sure we will do. Musk with Neuralink, he has FDA approval now for the first chip in brains. I think now if I would ask, there's maybe one person in this room that wants to say, yes, I want to be the Chinese volunteer, but give it another 10 years and they see the use case and it helps in piloting and accelerating your IQ level to an unseen level, then sooner than we think we will be in the operation quarter to have that chip, I can guarantee you. So everything that looks scary now at the forefront, sooner than we think will be closer to our bodies and probably integrated as well. So the Ray-Ban glasses, the pin, the necklace are the first examples of AI that is getting out of the computer.
So do you think that the Gartner graph also applies on what's going on with AI now then?
You mean in the Gauss curve?
Yes.
So
kind of the hype.
The hype cycle curve, you mean? Yeah, I think it's, that's a very good question. I think it hits productivity plateau or the productivity level way sooner, so there is no dropout for me. Mostly it's the hype, like the metaverse, boof, and then it falls, and I think it's coming out, by the way. If you look at the Meta Quest and the Apple Vision Pro, it's coming out of the lower ends, the dip, but I think with AI, I don't see the dip. People say, the hype is gone. Oh my God, the hype is not gone. The hype is very, very real. Everybody is using it. Some people should use it more, but it's absolutely not gone. So there is no dip for me in the curve. I think it will only go faster from here. And that's also, if you look at, for example, Bill Gates, he says everything that happened between the personal computer and AI was interesting, but not at the same magnitude as AI. And I think he's right. The mobile phone, the internet in itself, and so forth, but AI is at the level that it will touch every element of society. My 2 cents, huh? But I believe there won't be a dip. If I look at how fast it evolves and how much money is in the game, you see all the big players who are massively investing, I think there's no way back.
Dado, thanks for being here. Thanks for your very inspiring talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good.